So, you want to go on vacation? Some people choose Paris, others the beaches of Thailand. Me? I wanted something different, unique. I spun the globe and landed on North Korea. My friends thought I was crazy. I just smiled and said I was looking for an authentic travel experience, off the beaten path. I arrived in Pyongyang with a backpack full of clean socks and a head full of questions. My main goal? See the real North Korea, the one you don't see on the news. My government-appointed guides, Mr. Kim and Miss Pak, were very enthusiastic. They had a schedule. On day 3, right between admire a monument and applaud enthusiastically, was a special treat, a ride on the Pyongyang metro. I was thrilled, a subway ride. Finally, a slice of normal everyday life. Or so I thought. Let me tell you, I consider myself a subway connoisseur. I thought I had seen it all. I was expecting a subway. What I got was something else entirely, something out of a movie. My guides presented the metro ride like it was the main event. Today, Mr. Kim announced, you will experience our world-famous Pyongyang metro. Ms. Pak added, it is the deepest metro in the world, very strong. It can also be a shelter. A subway that doubles as a bunker. I was ready for my journey into the center of the earth. We arrived at the station, but this wasn't just a station, it was a palace. The entrance had massive bronze doors, ornate carvings, and a sign in Korean script. No graffiti, no trash, just spotless cleanliness. It was cleaner than my mom's living room. Mr. Kim beamed. This is Puhung Station. It means reconstruction. Marble pillars, gleaming floors, giant chandeliers. This wasn't a subway station, but a palace. In New York, a station entrance is a place you try to get through. Here I felt underdressed in my tourist t-shirt. We walked into a vast hall. Everything was polished to a mirror shine. As we passed through, I noticed something else missing. The smell. Every subway has a signature scent. The Pyongyang metro smelled of nothing. It was the cleanest, most majestic subway entrance I had ever seen. After passing through the pearly gates, we faced the next challenge, the escalator. This was not your average escalator. It plunged deep into the earth, disappearing into a pinpoint of light. Mr. Kim proudly informed me. Our metro is over 100 meters deep. We stepped on, and the descent began. It was slow, painfully slow. The kind of slow where you have time to contemplate all your life choices. As we sank deeper, a strange sound filled the air. Not grinding machinery, but music. Patriotic, revolutionary music piped through speakers. It was a full orchestral score for my descent into the underworld. The journey down took nearly 4 minutes. I could have microwaved a burrito in that time. The other people on the escalator stood perfectly still, facing forward, serene. No phones, no headphones, just riding. In America, this would be prime time for checking emails or avoiding eye contact. Here it was a moment of quiet reflection set to a revolutionary soundtrack. By the time we reached the bottom, I felt like I had aged a year. My ears popped from the pressure change. I stepped off onto the platform, disoriented like an astronaut returning to Earth. The music faded, replaced by the quiet hum of the station. The escalator alone was worth the trip, a perfect metaphor for the country. A long, slow, dramatic journey into a different world, with a soundtrack that won't let you forget where you are. Stepping off the escalator was like walking onto a movie set for a perfect utopian future as imagined in the 70s. The platform was enormous, spotless, and decorated with massive, colorful mosaics, epic murals of workers, farmers, and benevolent leaders. The lighting was spectacular. Chandeliers hung from high, arched ceilings, casting a warm, golden glow. The pillars looked like flaming torches. Everything was symbolic. Everything was grand. It made Grand Central Station look like a bus stop. What was truly bizarre was the atmosphere quiet, eerily quiet. No shouting, no announcements, no screeching trains. People stood in neat, orderly lines, waiting patiently. They spoke in hushed tones, if at all. In the US, a subway platform is chaos. Here, the silence was so profound you could hear the hum of the chandeliers. And then there were the newspapers. In the center, glass cases displayed the daily paper. People gathered, reading intently, not on phones, but actual newspapers, presented like museum artifacts. It was a fascinating throwback. Everyone was so engaged, so focused. This place wasn't just a transit hub, it was a public library, an art gallery, and a shrine all rolled into one. I hadn't even gotten on the train yet, and my mind was already blown. Just as I was getting used to the palatial weirdness, the train arrived. It glided in with a gentle whoosh. The train looked like it had rolled straight out of a history museum. An old East German model, painted green and cream, with a cartoonish charm. Inside, the retro design continued, fake wood paneling, ornate light fixtures, hard benches, and most prominently, portraits of the dear leaders smiling down. The doors closed with a soft hiss, and we were off. The ride was surprisingly smooth, solid, almost meditative. No ads, no posters, just portraits and wood paneling. The lack of commercialism was both refreshing and a little creepy. What do people think about if they're not being told what to buy? The only sounds were the gentle hum of the train and the soft clicks of the wheels. The other passengers sat upright, hands on laps, staring straight ahead. No one dozed, no one snacked, no one chatted. This wasn't a train. It was a mobile library car. I felt a sudden urge to do something chaotic, like start singing "Don't Stop Believin'," just to see what would happen. But one look at the smiling portraits, and I decided to behave. The passengers were the most fascinating part. Impeccably dressed, the men in dark suits, the women in modest dresses, no tourists, just locals. Perfect. Almost too perfect. I tried to make a friend. I smiled at a young man reading a book. He nodded politely, then returned to his book. Efficient, not unfriendly. No idle chit-chat, no shared glances. Everyone was in their own bubble of quiet composure. It felt less like a commute and more like a silent, collective meditation. Then a young woman near my guide struck up a conversation, in perfect English. "Are you enjoying your visit?" she asked, beaming. My guides looked on like proud parents. I told her the metro was beautiful. She launched into a well-rehearsed speech about the metro's history and its importance as a symbol of national strength. It was a wonderfully informative and completely spontaneous conversation, so spontaneous I'm sure it was on their schedule. As we approached our stop, she wished me a pleasant stay and got off. My brief, state-sanctioned interaction was over. I looked around. The other passengers were still perfectly posed, perfectly silent. It occurred to me we were only allowed to ride between two specific stations, just one stop. Were these people even going anywhere? Or were they professional metro riders, paid to create a pleasant and orderly atmosphere for tourists? In a place this meticulously staged, anything seemed possible. The station we arrived at, Yongguang, Glory, was even more spectacular than the one we left. If Puheng was a palace, Yongguang was a cathedral. Marble, light, massive columns, and everywhere art. But this wasn't art for art's sake. This was art with a message, loud, clear, and everywhere. Huge bronze reliefs and mosaics depicted a vibrant, futuristic Pyongyang, happy citizens, and the ever-watchful leader. The message, our system is the best, our leaders are great, our future is bright. Even the chandeliers told a story, designed to look like fireworks celebrating victory. Every detail reinforced the national narrative. It was impressive and a little terrifying. In New York, subway art is a few random tiles. Here it was an integral part of the architecture designed to inspire awe and loyalty. As we made our way to the exit, we passed another giant mural, Kim Il-sung surrounded by adoring workers pointing to a bright future. My guide, Mr. Kim, gazed at it with genuine emotion. "It is a beautiful reminder of our leader's vision," he said. I just nodded. What else could I say? Even 100 meters underground, you are never far from the state's watchful eye. Our entire journey on the Pyongyang metro lasted for exactly one stop, Puheng to Yongguang. That was it. 5 minutes. My guides explained these were the two stations tourists were permitted to see the most beautiful. It was a curated experience, like visiting a museum where you're only allowed to see two paintings. I couldn't help but wonder what the other stations looked like. The mystery was part of the fun. As we rode the escalator back up another 4-minute journey set to revolutionary music, I felt a strange sense of disappointment. The ride was over too soon. Stepping out into the daylight was like waking from a strange dream. The city above was orderly and clean, but it couldn't compare to the surreal perfection below. The whole thing was so perfectly managed, so clean and so devoid of chaos that it felt unreal. It was the opposite of every subway ride I had ever taken. No stress, no rush, no dirt. For 5 glorious, weird minutes, I got to ride through a Potemkin village on rails, a carefully constructed fantasy deep beneath Pyongyang. So, what's the verdict on the Pyongyang metro? Is it the best subway in the world? If you want efficiency, cleanliness, and order, it's a 10 out of 10. You will not find a cleaner floor or a more polite passenger anywhere. Your commute will be punctual, quiet, and accompanied by a stirring orchestral soundtrack. But if you think a subway needs a little chaos to feel alive, the Pyongyang metro has none of that. It's beautiful, sterile, and slightly lonely. It's like the difference between a perfectly manicured garden and a wild forest. One is impressive, but the other feels more real. The Pyongyang metro is a stunning achievement in public works and public image control, but it lacks a certain soul. Would I recommend it? Absolutely. It was the most memorable, bizarre, and thought-provoking subway ride of my life. It's a journey that's part history lesson, part art exhibition, and part psychological experiment. You will see things you will never see anywhere else. You will feel things you will never feel on any other form of public transit. It's a ride that sticks with you, making you question what's real and what's for show. In the end, my quest for an authentic travel experience led me 100 meters underground to the most inauthentic, staged, and perfectly polished subway on the planet. And I loved every second of it. So if you ever find yourself in Pyongyang with a few minutes to spare, do yourself a favor, take a ride on the metro. It's the best show in town, and the ticket is priceless.